it's Mary, and I'm back today with a really cute layout of my kiddos. They're outside playing in the sprinklers. We're starting to get some warmer weather, and so it's not quite warm enough to really get drenched, but I think this day was like 85, and so they thought, we're going to go out and play in the water and the sprinklers. Abby wasn't really into getting wet, but she was really into spraying her brother. So I'm grabbing these papers. A lot of these are Dear Lizzie papers, and I have a couple of Shimmerz papers from her new line, and I really loved that floral paper that Shimmerz did, and I wanted the focus of that layout to be that floral paper, and it goes perfectly with the chevron striped leggings that my daughter has on in the picture. So I'm going to get started here. I'm cutting half of that paper because I want to preserve it for another layout or fussy cutting or something. It's just so pretty. And you're going to see me just go through and trim down. Well, I'm not trimming it, but I'm kind of tearing up the edges. And I'm going to make it a little bit smaller here and there because I don't want it to be so overpowering to the photos. And I also wanted to do some layering up underneath that. I thought about using the stripe. I had a hard time with the stripe. I cut it into a million pieces and I never ended up using any of it. I still have some left and it's still a gorgeous paper. I like it, but it just wasn't working for me with this layout. This scripty paper, however, this is a Dear Lizzie paper as well. I absolutely loved the phrases in it. So one of it said, "The time is now." And then the one on the top that I'm going to use says, "Just be cool." So one of the reasons why I wanted those words to kind of pop out, or the phrases to pop out, is because the time is now. It is now turning into summer, and it's no longer winter, no longer spring. Our summers start happening in May. We're still having a slow start to summer, but we're starting to get like 90-degree days every once in a while. And then the "just be cool," for one thing, they're trying to be cool in the sprinkler, but Isaac is such a good big brother, and he will just run around and let his sister spray him. And so it's those little moments that I really want to capture with our kids, is their personalities and how much they love each other, how much he's just gracious with her and lets her do these crazy things to him, and he just soaks it up. He loves it. So I'm going to trim out these papers now that I have them down where I want them. I might have them down where I want them. I might pick it back up again. We'll see. So I'm going to ruffle up the edges a little bit, and I'll still do some more layering underneath. You're going to see, so I'm going to pick this up and I'm going to move it down a little bit more because I still felt like it was overpowering. But that's the beauty of creating these layouts. You never know what you want until you put it down and test it out. My mistake is that I start gluing everything down first, and then I'm having to rip off papers. Maybe someday I'll learn my lesson. Who knows? Oh. Okay, now I think that I have that down. I'm going to trim off the excess again. And this is the last time I move it, I promise. So I've grabbed a couple of pieces that were just on my desk left over from the last layout that I did with a bunch of scraps. I thought about using this doily, but I didn't like it. I'm going to bring out my stamps and I'm going to fail miserably. We're just going to cover that up at the end. The tissue paper that I have is a turquoise aqua blue color that we get in our Hip Kit Club subscription. And I'm going to mark off where I think I want the photos to be. I totally don't do this, by the way. I mean, I do it, but I don't keep it. So I won't make you suffer through all of it. I'm just trying to put my chevron stamp set down. This is a really cool stamp set. I don't remember where it came from, but it has a bunch of different kinds of chevrons. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to stamp it up on the page. And I really wanted to mimic my daughter's chevron leggings that she had on, but it turns into a hot mess. And also you can see that the chevrons on the right are, the one on the right is going in the opposite direction. There were a couple of them going in the opposite direction, like the tail would end. And I just didn't really like how that looked. I ended up not liking at all how it looked. None of it. So I spent the time to find which inks I was going to use and doing all the stamping on the background of my layout behind the pictures. I just wanted it peeking out. And I ended up covering the whole thing up, which I end up really loving in the end. But right now it looks like a hot mess, and I'm kind of even embarrassed to show you guys. So I'm going to layer that tissue paper to give it a little bit more dimension. And then I'm going to start placing my pictures on it. And then I'm going to realize, nope, I just don't like it. So I'm going to go hunting for some other things. I really like this herringbone. Oh, first, we have to take care of the doll's hair. She had rubber bands in it, and Abby could not handle that. So we just had to make her beautiful. Okay, now back to this herringbone envelope. So this came in a typecast, the typecast set from Michaels, and I had picked everything up when it went on like 90% off clearance. So I'm just kind of using that to add another layer behind the photos. And again, you're going to see that striped paper come out. That doesn't stay. I'm really trying to make the chevron work. And I just keep adding more, and really what I need is less and not the chevrons. But I don't realize that until a little bit later. I'm going to cut the rest of this out for you so you don't have to watch me fudge around with something that's not going to end up being at the end. So ta-da, there you go. Now I'm going back to my papers to see if I should just add more, because more is more, right? And it should fix it. But no, I end up going into my stash and I grabbed this really cute light pink polka dot paper from Paige Evans' Fancy Free line. And as I'm putting it down, I was thinking I would just layer it. And so I just wanted to look to see what it would look like layered behind the photos and on top of that cluster and keep the chevrons. But as soon as I put that paper over the top of the chevrons, I said, bye-bye, chevrons. You are not as cute as pink and white polka dot paper from Paige Evans. I really love this kind of purple and pink triangle paper, and that is from the Crate Paper Oasis line. And I really wanted to put it in somewhere, but I didn't want it to overpower. I just wanted to peek through. And I thought it was just perfect to stick in amongst those layers that I've created at the top and the bottom. You'll also see me bring in the branding strip that was on the Chamel paper and just put a tiny bit up in those layers as well. So now I'm going through that Paige Evans line to see if there's anything else that I wanted to include, and there wasn't. So I'm going to go ahead and back my photos on white cardstock. The problem with my selfie is that it just doesn't, I print on the Canon selfie, and it just doesn't give me a good border unless my pictures are super tiny, because it doesn't print true to 4:6 ratio. So I end up having to back a lot of my paper, or a lot of my pictures. And I use my Canon selfie mostly for scrapbooking. I have used it for Project Life as well. And I don't mind it for scrapbooking because I'm not having to worry about true to size for the 3x4 pockets and the 4x6 pockets. But when it comes to scrapbooking, you don't have to worry about those dimensions as much, and I can print them off and cut them down and back them onto white cardstock, and I'm fine with that. Maybe this is just something that I need to let go, because it's not going to change. And the definition of insanity is doing something over and over and over again, expecting different results. I keep expecting my selfie to print out a true 4x6, and it's physically impossible. So here's where I put in that little branding strip. I'm going to glue down the papers a little bit more. When I put papers down, I usually only put a tiny bit of adhesive because I know that I'm more than likely going to move it a million times. So I don't want to, completely glue it down to the page and then tear stuff up. It's more of just like a holding spot, and then I go back and add more adhesive to it later. I'm going to grab out these really fun puffy alphabet stickers. These are Hip Kit Club exclusive. I'm also going to grab in a couple of stickers from the Shimmerz sheet, the sticker sheet. Maybe I only grabbed one sticker. I'm going to cut that in half, and at first I thought, well, this is a really cute way to balance the whole layout, just do a central layout, but then you'll see me kind of struggle with a title. So everything ends up being shifted to the left to make room for the title. And instead of having the flowers on both sides of the picture, I will just layer them up on the left side of the picture, and that adds a lot of balance to it. So I knew I definitely wanted to use this word trouble. That's another reason why I included that black and white scripty font, is because I knew that I wanted to use the black foam thickers. And there was no other black in any of the pictures or papers. So I wanted it to make sense. If there's black in the fonts or in the thickers, then I want there to be black somewhere else in the page. So it just doesn't, it's not so bold and it doesn't jump in your face. So I'm going to use these thickers and I'm going to say, here comes trouble, because Abby is totally trouble. And the look on Isaac's face is, uh-oh, here comes trouble, because he knew what she was up to. He knew that she was going to start spraying him. And I am really sorry about the light coming in from my window. Normally I have my curtain closed, but for some reason it got open that day. I think maybe I had the window open and it blew the curtain over and I totally didn't notice. So there's going to be a couple spots here that you're not going to be able to see that left cluster because of the lighting, and I really apologize about that. I try to be really good, and this time I just completely missed it. So I'm going to take these puffy stickers from the Dear Lizzie line and place them up top, because we were at home and I really like to include those little at-home moments, so it just made sense. I'm going to put a hot air balloon in. I'm trying to challenge myself to use things that don't make sense. That little hot air balloon said, "Fine little day," and it really was. I also used another piece of a Hip Kit Club exclusive ephemeras, that little heart circle at the top right of the picture, and then the little arrow to the left. It says, "Love this." Then that little tag at the bottom underneath trouble says, "The simple things," and I'm going to add in some of these heart puffy stickers. Kimberly, if you're watching and you probably saw I know you saw my comment on the Hip Kit Club forum. I absolutely love the fact that you packed that alphabet set full of tiny little hearts. You took every opportunity of real estate on that, and I so appreciate it. And I just love the way that it turned out on this layout. It just gave it a little bit of added interest, and it really drew the eye around the photos. So I think I'm almost done putting the ephemera down. You've seen me pull out these Pink Fresh Studio acetate tags so many times, and I've done it over and over and over again, and I haven't used a single one. I think I'm going to have to dedicate an entire scrapbook layout to use those tags. And the problem for me is that they're an afterthought, and those acetate see-through tags, they can't be an afterthought. They have to be a forethought. Otherwise, you're going to have pattern paper behind it or some other thing, and you're just not going to be able to see them very well. So I'm going to scatter some sequins around the page because that's my thing. That's what I do now. I can't not put them on, which is cool because you guys get to see so many different ways of using sequins, right? And these are the Wild and Free sequins. I ended up just using the little light blue floral. They're little tiny flowers, and you'll see them in the close-ups. And I loved the way that they just added a little bit of something without distracting from everything else. And then I also used the Shimmerz Jeni Be Blue in Vibez, which has a little bit of sparkle to it. And I'm going to just clean off my mess on the photo. I kind of scuffed it up a little bit there on the left, but who cares? And this is it. This is my final layout. Thanks so much, you guys, for hanging out with me today, and I hope that you have a beautiful, wonderful Saturday. We are on our way to go up to the mountains and go to the lake because we need a little family getaway. So have a wonderful weekend, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.